Hi everybody, welcome. It's 10 a.m. time for my live cooking demonstration. So join us. Say hello in the comments if you like. Say where you're from, that's always fun. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I'll be checking periodically on my computer here. And we will get started momentarily. All right, I see people joining. Thank you guys. Feel free to comment and I will know that we are ready to roll. Oh, there we go. Hey, Jackie. Hey, Janet. Hi, Rose. Hey, Dora. Hey, Stephanie. All right, now we're cooking. Hey, Clifford. Hi, Susie. Okay. All right, I have the my cookbook here open to my first recipe that we're going to do today. If you want to follow along in the cookbook, or the link is in the description of this video that's happening right now, so you can go up there and click that if you want. This baked oatmeal with apples and raisins is on page 33 of the cookbook if you want to follow along, and there's a picture of it. Hi Gina, hi Christina. One of my favorite breakfasts. Yes, this is such a good breakfast. It's so easy. Okay. All right, so I will go ahead and get started, and periodically I'll check in with the comments so I can answer your questions live. And yeah, I think that's about it. So if you are new to my live classes, welcome. I'm Kathy Fisher, and this is my cookbook here, Straight Up Food. And my website is the same name, straightupfood.com. So you can go there and find lots of recipes. I've been adding recipes for the last 10 years, so there's quite a few there. And a lot of the favorites are in this cookbook, but there's also some in the cookbook that aren't on the website. And there's a lot of information in this cookbook that is especially helpful to beginners because it gives a foundation. There's a little fly in here who's going to be helping me today. That's wonderful. It gives a lot of foundational information about why I cook plant-based, which means 100% plant foods, why I don't use any salt, oil, or sugar or gluten in my cooking. And yeah, so since I don't use any of those things, salt, oil, and sugar, that doesn't mean that the recipes aren't going to taste sweet or rich or flavorful. It just means that I had to be creative and find out different ways to do those things. So I'm going to go ahead and move this. Once again, the first recipe is the baked oatmeal on page 33. And I'll go ahead and set this back here. If you don't have the book and you're interested in getting a copy, I sell them on Amazon. I also sell them on my website, straightupfood.com, in the store, so you can check that out. And they are also in digital format if you prefer it on Kindle or something like that. All right, that fly, he's going to be my buddy. All right. Hey, Stan. Hey, Chelly. All right. So today we're going to be making the baked oatmeal, and then after that gets going in the oven, then I'm going to show you how to do some non-dairy milk. And I'll talk a lot about that. All right, so I'm going to cook this in the oven, and so I'm going to get it going first. Little fly, come on. All right, so what we're going to need is a bowl. This is so easy. Everything just goes in the bowl, and we stir it up, and that is pretty much it. So let me back up a step here. So this is baked oatmeal with apples and raisins. Sometimes I call it baked fruity oatmeal because I later didn't want to limit myself to the apples and the raisins. I want people to know that you can add any kind of fruit you want. You can add raisins, not raisins, chopped up dried apricots. You could do some chopped up nuts in there if you want. It's really a nice canvas that you can add anything you want. I'm going to be adding some cinnamon and some nutmeg. So it's very versatile. You can put pineapple in there. What do I put down here? My favorite fruits. You can put some, let's see, bananas, pears, pineapples, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. You can do all of one kind. You can mix them up. If you're doing apples like I'm doing today, you can leave the skins on. You can take the skin off. It's up to you. It's up to you. And so we're going to make this in an 8x8 baking dish. And then once it comes out of the oven, you can just dig in, have some for breakfast, or you can let it sit for a couple hours or overnight, and then you can cut it into bars. And I made some last night, and I'll show you that result a little bit later. Now, some people cannot tolerate oats, so you can try, what's it called, Quinoa Flakes, if you don't do oats. Some people have asked me if I can do, or you can do, steel-cut oats. I've never tried that, and I'm sure it's doable. I would think you need to soak the oats a little, the steel-cut oats a little first, or cook it longer. So if you're up for trying that, let me know how it goes. If you do just cook it straight away without soaking it, I would maybe decrease the temperature from 375 to 350 because you'll need to probably cook it a little bit longer and you don't want the top to get overdone. All right. So this is 2.5 cups of rolled oats. And then let's do this stuff first. We're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now, what I've done for my nutmeg, if you've watched me before, you know I love whole nutmeg. So I use the little actual whole nutmegs. And what you do, you use your microplane, and you could just grate it right on your cutting board like that. Now they do make nutmeg grinders. If you want to buy a specific nutmeg grinder, you can do that. I've always just used this. It works great. These are really, really hard, rock hard. So you do need something like this. I also use this to zest lemons and limes. I don't use it to do my garlic because garlic's a little too soft and small and I might grate my knuckles, so I have a different thing for my garlic. But I just want to mention that you don't have to grind your own. You can buy pre-ground. That's totally fine. I find that the whole nutmeg, though, tastes better. Okay. And let me grab this. This is called a pastry scraper or bench scraper, and it's just used to pick up stuff like that, or if you've chopped a bunch of onions and you want to pick them up easily, that's your inexpensive tool. All right, continuing on. So this is about 1 cup of fruit. I'm using apples today. It doesn't matter what kind of apple you use, just whatever you have on hand. You can combine apples. You can do some green ones and some red ones if you want to make it more visually appealing. And 1/2 cup of brown raisins. You could use golden raisins if you want. Those are really good. Okay. And now we're going to add some non-dairy milk. Now, when I buy non-dairy milk from the store, this is my favorite brand, West Soy Organic, Unsweetened Plain, because here's the ingredient list, if you can see that. It's really tiny. There's only 2 ingredients, whole organic soybeans and filtered water. So that is it. Now, one little thing I wanted to mention about this is if you've ever had soy milk, it's quite rich. It's one of the richer non-dairy milks. And non-dairy milks can be any nut, seed, or grain. Just blend it up with some water, strained, and then what you're left with is basically rich water, fatty water. But when I get the soy milk, it's very, to my taste, it's very thick and very rich. It's higher in calories. This is 100 calories per 1 cup. Now, I'm not trying to lose weight or watch calories really, but I just don't like it because it's too thick. So what I do, where is it, is I'll buy this, and I love these wide mouth mason jars. So what you do, or what I do, is I fill this about 1/3 of the way with this non-dairy milk. And then I fill the rest with filtered water from my sink over there. And then I just use that for the next few days. It makes this end up being cheaper, and it makes it end up being lower in calorie. So there's a little tip for you. Your ratio might be different. If you want to try that, you can do like half and add a half water. You can do 1/4, add 3/4 water, whatever floats your boat. But I've found that 1 part this, 2 parts water works really good. But today we're going to use just the full force stuff. And we're going to do 1 3/4 cups. Now, if you are trying to watch your calories, or you just don't do non-dairy milks very much, you can use water in here. It's totally fine. But I like it a little bit richer. And I don't know if you can see that. It even looks kind of really thick and rich. So I'm shooting for 1 3/4 cup. Okay. So you definitely want to read the nutrition information on the products that you are buying, especially non-dairy milk. What did I do? Oh, I looked up another non-dairy milk, an almond milk earlier, and the ingredient list was actually not that long, but I thought I would just read to you some of the things that are in it. Some aren't bad. So filtered water and almonds, vitamin and mineral blend, which is calcium carbonate, vitamin E acetate, vitamin A palmitate, vitamin D2, sea salt, locust bean gum, gellan gum, ascorbic acid, and natural flavors. And then it says contains almond. Okay, good. So I just personally don't like all that stuff in my milk. I think it makes it taste funny, even if all that stuff isn't so bad for you, all those added vitamins. But I just like mine super simple. I'm getting plenty of nutrients from all the other whole foods that I'm eating in my diet. I don't need it added to my non-dairy milk. So I like to keep it super simple. But just read the ingredients, make sure that you are okay with the things that are in there and that they're going into your body. So anytime you're buying a packaged, bagged, boxed item from the grocery store, you want to know what you're getting. So read those ingredients. And just in case some of you don't know, when you're reading an ingredient list, whatever is at the beginning of the list, that's what's in there most of. And then whatever is at the end, that's what's in there the least amount. Okay. So let me just check in with the comments. I know I just threw a lot at you. See if there's any questions here. What do you think about Trader Joe's soy milk? Lena asks. Also organic and only water and soybeans. That sounds fine. I don't go to Trader Joe's, so I'm not sure about that one in particular. But if it says it's organic, then that's wonderful. If it says filtered water, that's good too. Can you freeze soy milk? I think so. It might separate, but you could shake it up or reblend it afterwards. I've never tried that. Okay. How long does whole nutmeg last? Janet wants to know. You know what? I read somewhere, and I know I'm not dreaming this, that in like the Egyptian tombs, they found nutmegs that were still usable. They supposedly last for a really long time. I just use mine up so fast. I buy them in little bags at the spice shop, like 9 or 10 to a bag. How long do they last? I would say out of all the herbs and spices, they last probably the longest. So I don't know, maybe a year? And I've seen some whole nutmegs that are a little shrivelly and a little funny looking when I buy them in bulk, like at Whole Foods or something. or another grocery store, and they just don't look as good. So I don't know what the deal is with producing nutmegs and how come some look kind of funny and some look better. But they last a really long time. If they taste funny or they kind of have like a burnt taste to them or they look too dark and too flaky, those to me aren't as good. So they last a long time though. Hi Gina, hope you continue doing these live demonstrations. I love them. Thank you so much. I really like doing them too, and I will continue them even after I go back to work. I'm just not sure what that schedule will look like, but I will surely let you guys know when that change happens. Hi Jean. Gluten-free oats. Hi Dora. You can use gluten-free oats if you like, or non, whatever works for you. Hi Stan. All right. So we're going to go ahead and dump our non-dairy milk in there. And we're going to gently mix it up. We don't have to be too vigorous about this. Now, if you want to make a double batch, you could double this recipe and put it in a 9 by 13 inch pan. This is a great recipe, especially for people that don't like eating breakfast. They don't like taking the time to make breakfast. They're too busy, because this is just so simple. You can make this amount in the 8 by 8 pan, or you can make a larger amount and then you just take some with you to work every day. We're not all going to work as much, but you could just take it with you and you could eat it cold if you wanted to. Or when you get to wherever you're going, you could pop it in the microwave, or and add a little non-dairy milk to the top if you want. Okay. When this cools and I cut it into bars, which I'll show you in a little bit, it's a great take with you food. If you're going hiking, or you're going on a road trip, or you're flying or somewhere and you just want to have something substantial that you can put into your belly, so you're not tempted by those like airplane cookies and crackers and stuff. This is a great one, along with cold sweet potatoes and white potatoes. Those are the things that I always take with me when I'm traveling. Okay, so I'm just going to set this aside for a second, and we're going to get our pan ready. Now, since this has a lot of liquid in it, we do need to prepare our pan. And in the old days, for me, we used to butter or shortening the pan, and then we put flour around the edges. And then at one point I remember, I don't know how I learned this, maybe my mom told me, we used to line our cake pans with paper bags. Have any of you ever done that? It works really well. So you just cut the paper bag to fit the pan instead of doing the oil and the flour. Anyway, we're not going to do any of that today. I'm going to show you how to line this 8 by 8 inch pan with parchment paper. Now, if you have a non-stick pan already, that's probably fine. Or if you have a silicone baking pan like this, that's probably fine too. But people always enjoy seeing how I line this pan with parchment paper. In fact, it will probably be the most exciting part of this video. People just go nutty for it. So hopefully you will be one of those people. Because I like it when people go nutty for my cool tips here. All right. So this is parchment paper. This is found, if you've never bought it before, in the same aisle where you buy aluminum foil and saran wrap. Just don't get wax paper, because that's a different thing. Parchment baking paper, sometimes it's white. This is brown. So you just want to pull out enough that will cover the bottom and up the sides. So like that. If we have extra, we can trim it off. Move that to the side. Okay, so there are so many ways to do parchment paper. You can always go on YouTube and type it in, how to cut parchment paper. But this is the way I always use, and I love it because it's easy. So we're going to fold this into fourths, like this. And then this is the corner where it's all together, right? All right. Get your pan back up here. Now, with this corner that's all together, we're just going to eyeball it in the center of the pan. Doesn't have to be exact. And then while you're holding this, push this and use your fingernail to just get in those corners and those edges so you'll be able to see the indentation, okay? Now, you can leave this amount hanging over in the oven. It's not going to catch fire or anything unless it's like maybe way over. But I like to go ahead and trim it just because I'm a neat nut. So just cut any excess off. And just cut around that corner. And then let's go ahead and make 2 cuts in toward the center so those corners will lay nice. Okay. Line it up. Press it in. Okay. And if it's not exact, no worries at all. Okay, so there it is. Doo-doo. Doesn't that look nice? All right, so this is also great because when it comes out of the oven and it's cooled, you can just pick this up and set it on your cutting board. And if it's completely cooled, it's small enough so you can just flip it over onto your hand, remove that parchment paper from the bottom, and put it back in the pan or put it back on your cutting board. And then your pan is not dirty. It's great. It's great. It might be a little dirty, but it'll be so much. Sometimes the liquid will flow through into these corners, but it'll be so much easier to clean. And this can go in the oven up to, I think, 425 degrees. Nothing sticks to it. It's great. All right, so back here, I'm going to go ahead and put our oatmeal mixture right on the paper. If you've never used parchment paper, this might seem kind of weird to you, putting food on paper, but it really works. Okay. All right, now just flatten it out, even it out. You can press it down. Okay, get those corners and really smash it down because you want it to be nice and dense and even. This is one of my favorite little tools. This is a rice paddle, rice spoon that I got at the thrift store because I don't have a rice cooker. But I just love this. Okay. So just get it into those corners. Make sure it's nice and even. Now, if you try this at home, just as it's written, and you think, oh, that's too dry for me, I want it moister, or I want it less moist, you can adjust that non-dairy milk amount to your liking. Okay, there it is. Now we're going to put this in the oven. You don't have to cover it or anything. We're just going to put it just like that. The oven's at 375. And all right, so let me check in here. I have the pan like that. You actually do not need anything. It will detach, no problem. That's what Petra says. I do this with all your recipes. Yeah, I made a batch last night and I didn't put it up the sides. It still comes out. I had to put the knife a little around the edges, and it just puts the brown stuff on the pan. Then you gotta scrub it a little bit. So it will come out, but it will be. You'll just have to wash it a little bit more. Hi Dora, thank you. You're a pro. I hope so. I've been doing this. I've been eating plant-based for 20 years now. I can't believe that. And I've been teaching cooking classes for 10 years at True North Health Center in Santa Rosa, California. And I also have been teaching at Dr. McDougall's program for probably 9 years. Yeah, I love this. I love teaching. I was an elementary school teacher before I was a cooking teacher. That was quite a long time ago. I like being a cooking teacher better. Okay. Alrighty. So that is it for that. And I will show you that when it comes out, but I might as well show you this now. So as I said, I made a batch last night and I put it in the refrigerator. I covered it overnight after it had cooled on the counter. And then this morning I cut it into squares like this. And you can tell something looks a little different here. Instead of apples and raisins, I used raspberries and blueberries, fresh. You could use frozen, that would probably work fine. But see how they hold up? They're pretty firm. You can see why you can take these with you very easily. And after they've cooled, they're pretty sturdy. So, see? They're kind of like soft granola bars. These would be a great snack for kids if you want to give them something healthy. Sometimes I will cut squares like this and then I'll cut them in, diagonally and make little triangles out of them. So I just wanted to show you that it definitely makes snack bars if you want to use it for snacking instead of breakfast. Now, another thing I wanted to mention, this recipe is just so versatile. If you wanted to make these sweeter, say for a sweeter snack or a dessert, before you add the non-dairy milk, you could blend it in your blender here with some pitted dates. Yeah, so that'll make it a little sweeter. They're already pretty sweet. Oats are kind of naturally sweet, and then we added the soy milk. It's just good as it is, but if you wanted to sweeten it up a bit for the kids or something, you could totally do that. All right. So I'm going to set this aside. Maybe I'll just leave it here for now. Let me see if there's anything I've forgotten to mention. Oh, a favorite variation also of this is strawberries and cardamom. So you would use the strawberries instead of the raisins and the apples, and then the cardamom, which is it's used in Indian cooking a lot. It's a spice that's kind of vanilla-y but kind of peppery. It's really, really good. So that's in the cookbook, that variation, if you're interested in that. All right, so let's switch gears here, and we're going to go into non-dairy milk land. Okay. So today I'm going to make pecan milk. As I said earlier, you can make non-dairy milk out of any nut, seed, or grain, pretty much. You would just blend any of those things in your blender. There's this blender in the shot here. And then you strain it. We're going to use our nut milk bag here. Now, why would you want to make non-dairy milk at home yourself? Well, a few reasons. And I don't always do it. As I said, I buy this a lot, but the other time I am making my own, and I'm either making pecan or almond. What else have I made? Sunflower seed, cashew milk. So there's lots of different kinds. Oat milk, you can make brown rice milk. I have 4 recipes in my cookbook for almond milk, pecan milk, oat milk, and rice milk. So those oat milk and the rice milk have a little bit different preparation, but the nut milks are pretty much the same. So if you are using, and I was going to say the reasons why this is good. So number one, it tastes better. If you've ever had non-dairy milk made at home, it's so, so tasty. It's just naturally good. Almonds have a natural sweetness to them. Pecans have a natural, like, brown sugary taste to them. They're so good. And you know exactly what's in it. You don't get any of those weird ingredients. It is fresher. It's not going to have preservatives in it, so you just don't make as much, and you can figure out how much you can make at a time. I make this, and I just mostly use it on my oatmeal and my hot porridge in the morning. And this will last me like 3 or 4 days. All right, so if you're using almonds are really dense, they're really tough, so you want to soak those overnight. But pecans are a lot softer. So I didn't soak these. I could have soaked them. I didn't. They're soft, like cashews are soft, sunflower seeds are soft, walnuts are soft. So I didn't soak those. But the soaking will permeate the nut more and I think help you digest a little bit more. But I haven't really had any problems with them. The only ones I really soak are the almonds. Okay, so I am going to blend the water with the pecans. This is a 1/2 cup of raw unsalted pecans in the blender. And this is 4 cups of water. Now, if you do almonds and you soak them overnight, in the morning, you want to drain off that water and use fresh 4 cups of water. So I'm just going to blend this till the water, can you see this? Till the water starts to turn white. Blend it, a good amount, especially if you haven't pre-soaked them. Okay. Now let me just check in to see if how you guys are doing here. Greetings from Denmark. Wow. I wish I was in Denmark. That would be so fun. Cardamom would be lovely. Yeah, Annie. Cardamom is amazing. It's one of those spices, a little goes a long way, so you don't want to overdo the cardamom, but it's just lovely, lovely. Helene wants to know about my opinion on soy, because it has a bad name. Yeah, I am not an expert on the soy topic. I have heard that it's totally fine from the plant-based docs. I have not heard plant-based docs that are in my circle, like Dr. McDougall and Dr. Goldhammer and stuff, say that soy milk is bad, especially super simple soy milk like I use. I think once you get into the soy hot dogs where they really manipulated things and added lots of weird ingredients, that it's a problem. Just simple tofu, I think is fine. I don't really use tofu or soy that much because I don't digest it very well. So I'm sorry I can't be more help on that. But that seems to be the consensus in this community, that less processed soy is fine. More processed soy products are not. Would you say 60 seconds to blend? I don't know. Whatever feels right to you, just until everything is really blended up nicely and there's not little chunks in there. Now there is some pulp in there, so we're going to drain the pulp here. So this is my nut milk bag. If you don't have one of these, it is kind of key for this recipe. If you don't have that, you could use something like a fine strainer like this. But you don't want to use your vegetable colander. Those holes are too big. So you could use this, but really this is the tool that you want to use. And you can get these online. And they're pretty inexpensive, under $10. This is a nylon one. I like the nylon ones as opposed to the cheesecloth ones or the cotton ones because they're stronger and they last longer. So once you have your nut milk bag, one tip is, see how it's got the seam on one side? You want to put the seam on the outside because all that pulp is going to end up in here. And we don't want it getting caught up in the seams because we have to wash this and we want to make it as easy as possible. All right. So you want to have a bowl that's kind of wide, but deep like this. And then we're just going to pour this right through there. Now, pecan milk does turn out to be a little like on the tan colored side. Almond milk doesn't. Almond milk is like pure white. So if you're trying to share non-dairy milk with someone who's not used to drinking it, like kids or just someone in your family, almond milk is the way to go because it's rich and it looks really white. So it looks the most like cow's milk. All right, so you can see some just came through the bag, but you want to just gently squeeze the bag, and you can twist the top if you want to make sure it doesn't spout out there. Okay, this always makes me feel like a pioneer woman. I like it. All right, so once you get down, really squeeze that hard to get all that good nut milk out of there. So what you're going to be left with is the pulp, and that's what the pulp looks like. It's going to be kind of chalky and dry, and I usually just toss this. Some people save their pulp and use it in baking. I tried once saving my almond pulp. I dried it out and then I ground it into flour and used it in pancakes, I think. It's been so long. And it didn't work well, so I haven't revisited it, but you can always search online for uses for your nut pulp if you want to do that. But we've pretty much gotten all the, I mean, that's a lot of fiber, but we've gotten all the good flavor and stuff out already. So this is not extremely flavorful. So I will toss this and then I will immediately wash the bag, because if this stuff dries in there, it's just going to be a drag to wash. Okay. Alrighty. So there it is. Nice, clean, pulp-free milk. I wonder if I can pour this into this without making a mess. I didn't think about that. I'm wondering if I have a what do you call it? A funnel. I don't think I have a funnel. I never use a funnel. Let me just check real quick. All right, I'll just do my best. Yay, not bad at all. Okay. So there it is. It just nearly fills up the jar. I started out with 4 cups of water. Now, usually what I will do at this point is just go ahead and top it off with some filtered water, because I like to start with a nice full jar. And as I said at the beginning, I like my non-dairy milks a little on the thin side. But I didn't, when I started drinking non-dairy milk, I liked them a little on the thick side. But as I transitioned, it was a little too thick. So there you go. Get a couple of these. You can get them at hardware stores, sometimes at grocery stores, but hardware stores is where I get them. And get the wide mouth, these are called, because then you can get your hand in there more easily to wash them. And they always seem to have these little grooves and these little designs, so it's, you got to be able to get in there and scrub them. I've most commonly seen these with the metal lids, but I love these plastic lids. They're just so much easier. You don't have the, I'm not canning here, so I don't need those 2-piece lids. I love these plastic lids. Now, what else about the non-dairy milk? Now I just make mine like this and that's it, I'm done. If you want to sweeten your milk, you could add a little vanilla extract, some vanilla beans. You could blend a date in when you're doing the blending part. If you wanted like strawberry milk, you could blend some strawberries in. What else do people do? Banana milk, I think I've heard of that. So you can dress it up, put a little cinnamon in there, whatever you like. Let me just check my notes to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. I think that's it. So easy. So I don't think I've ever made non-dairy milk that I tasted and it was too long. I think this lasts like, it'd take like a week, but I use this up probably within 4 days, just because that's how fast I use it. All right, so let me see. Oh, I forgot to set the timer on the baked oatmeal. Let me see what it looks like. So this is nearly done. I'd probably leave it in a couple more minutes, but you do want it a little brown on top, maybe around the edges, but it's nice and firm. And then I would just let it sit in there until it cools completely. And then you can just lift this out, put it on your cutting board, cut it, and you can, so you're not cutting the parchment paper, you can flip it over, the whole thing, peel that parchment paper off, put it back into the pan, or put it on your cutting board. All right, let me check the comments to see if you guys have any questions. Walmart has those jars. Yeah, they're pretty easy to find. The plastic lids, you'll probably have more luck with the plastic lids at hardware stores, especially hardware stores that have like a little kitchen section. Uma, you're a great cook. Thank you. How do you wash your nut bag? Debbie asks. I will wash it when I get done here. Usually I do it immediately, but I just put the pulp into the trash, and then I just work it under the water while the water's running on it. And it's pretty easy if you do it right after you use it. It's not hard at all. Maybe a little warm water on there. Someone is putting spam on my page. That is a new thing. All right, or on my comments. Okay. So, oh, someone's really spamming the heck out. If my moderator's there, you could delete it by going to the little 3 circles to the right and putting delete. Yeah. All right. All right. Plastic lids, they're not watertight. I've seen some sold which advertise watertight plastic, but haven't tried them yet. I don't know if they're watertight. Let's see. Well, it seems to be holding. They're just so much easier than those 2-piece lids. All right, you guys, I think that's it. If you think of any more questions later, feel free to add them. I will be going through all the comments again and answering the questions because people come through later and they read all those comments. So I like to have the answers there in print as well. And then if you want to join me next week at the same time, same place, same day, I'll be making corn chowder and cornbread. I don't do a lot of breads, but I do have a couple cornbread recipes that I break out around the holidays or special occasion. I'm not at home eating bread all the time. But I do have a really good pumpkin walnut cornbread recipe, so I'll show you how to make that. And then I have another cornbread recipe that's a quinoa cornbread, so good. And now that corn is in season, I just saw my first corn on the cob, organic corn on the cobs at Whole Foods yesterday, so I'm so excited that corn is happening. So this corn chowder is really easy, it's so good. So I can't wait to share that with you. And I think that's about it. We did great on timing. Share this video if there's people in your network who you think would enjoy this recipe and knowing this way of cooking. Please pick up a copy of the Straight Up Food Cookbook if you haven't. If you already have, thank you so much for supporting me through buying my cookbook. And if you really love the cookbook, please consider leaving a brief review on Amazon. That really helps me out as a first-time self-published author. And I think that's it, guys. All right, thank you again for joining me. I love doing this, and I will see you next week. All right, thank you.